If you ever wanted proof that money is a little bit broken, all you have to do is this. Look at your paycheck, then look at your grocery bill, and tell me which one learned how to run faster. That gap? That's inflation. It doesn't show up like a stock crash or a housing bubble. There's no dramatic headline. Today, your money quietly lost 8% of its power. Instead, it creeps in. The same basket of food, the same tank of gas, the same apartment, different numbers. You're told it's 2% a year. You hear phrases like transitory, and somewhere in the background there's always a graph with a polite upward slope as if this is all under control. But here's the uncomfortable twist. Inflation isn't just prices going up. It's a symptom of how money is created, how governments manage debt, and how central banks fight yesterday's fires using tomorrow's tools. You're not crazy for feeling like you're running in place. The treadmill is moving. Tonight, we're not going to shout about it, panic about it, or turn it into a conspiracy. We're going to do something stranger. Explain it clearly. This is Empires of Finance. And this is how inflation really works. Most people think inflation begins at the supermarket. It doesn't. By the time you see a higher price tag, the story has already ended. Inflation starts far upstream, in the part of the economy most people never look at. It begins with how money is created. There's a belief that governments print money, and that's where inflation comes from. Technically true, but mostly wrong. Physical cash is the smallest part of money creation. The real engine is credit. When a bank issues a loan, new money is created. Not transferred. Created. It doesn't come from someone else's account. It didn't exist 5 minutes ago. It appears because the loan appears. This is how modern economies expand. When lending grows faster than productivity, inflation rises. When productivity grows faster than lending, inflation calms. Inflation isn't things becoming more expensive. It's money becoming less powerful. Think of the economy like a stadium. If it has 50,000 seats and you print 60,000 tickets, nothing looks wrong until the doors open. If you really want to understand inflation, you have to look at the part of the system almost nobody ever notices: the plumbing of money. Here's the part that feels almost illegal the first time you hear it. Most money in the modern world isn't created by governments. It's created by banks. When you deposit $1,000 into a bank, the bank doesn't store it in a vault. It lends most of it out, and whoever receives that money deposits it into another bank, which lends most of that out. And the cycle continues. Money doesn't just move. It multiplies. Not through magic, but through accounting. Every loan adds new money to the system. Every repayment removes money from the system. And when lending expands faster than productivity, prices begin to rise. When productivity grows faster than lending, inflation eases. Inflation isn't some mysterious force. It's the natural outcome of money growing faster than the real world it represents. It's not a conspiracy. It's a cycle. And once you understand that cycle, you stop seeing inflation as a villain and start seeing it as an inevitable byproduct of how modern economies work. Inflation rises for 3 major reasons, and none of them are the ones people usually argue about. Twist 1 is demand-pull inflation. When people suddenly spend more money, whether from stimulus checks, tax cuts, or a booming recovery, demand rises faster than supply. Shelves empty. Services get crowded. There's more money chasing the same amount of goods, and prices rise. Not because businesses turned greedy overnight, but because production couldn't keep up. Twist 2 is cost-push inflation. When energy becomes more expensive, when shipping slows, when labor costs rise, or when supply chains break, the cost of making everything increases. Businesses don't absorb those costs. They pass them on, because they have to in order to survive. Prices rise not because demand exploded, but because the world got more expensive to operate. Twist 3 is expectation-based inflation, the most dangerous one. When people believe prices will rise, they start acting as if they already have. Workers demand higher wages. Suppliers raise contract prices. Companies increase their prices preemptively. Inflation becomes a self-fulfilling loop. This is why central banks obsess over communication. One careless sentence can change how millions behave. Inflation isn't one fire. It's sparks from 3 different fires landing in the same spot at the same time. Here's a fact that surprises most people. Governments do not want zero inflation. Zero inflation sounds perfect in theory, but in the real world, it's a disaster. A little inflation, around 2%, keeps the machine running. People spend instead of hoard. Businesses invest instead of freeze. Wages rise slowly, and debts quietly shrink in real terms. And that last part is something no politician will say out loud. Inflation makes government debt cheaper over time. A country that owes $1 trillion today is relieved when inflation erodes the real value of that trillion. The debt stays the same on paper, but becomes lighter in reality. Inflation isn't just an economic accident. It is sometimes a strategy. Not a sinister one, but a practical one. Because the alternative, deflation, is far worse. Falling prices lead people to delay spending. Businesses stop hiring, wages stagnate, and economies stall. Inflation isn't the perfect scenario. It's the least harmful one, and managing it is a brutal balancing act. Too little inflation, the economy freezes. Too much inflation, people panic. The job of a central bank isn't to eliminate inflation. It's to keep it tame enough that the system keeps moving, but never strong enough to break it. Inflation does not treat everyone equally. It has winners, losers, and survivors. The losers are people who hold cash, retirees with fixed incomes, and workers whose wages don't adjust fast enough. Inflation quietly erodes their purchasing power, a slow financial erosion that you only notice when it's already deep. The survivors are people who own assets, such as real estate, stocks, or businesses. Their assets rise with inflation, or even outrun it. For them, inflation is a storm, but at least they have a roof. And then there are the unexpected winners: governments with large debt loads, borrowers with fixed-rate loans, and companies that can raise prices faster than their costs rise. Inflation is not a moral system. It is a mechanical one. It redistributes wealth based on positioning, not fairness. Inflation rewards flexibility and punishes stillness. Once you understand that, you stop asking why everything is getting more expensive and start asking who is positioned to survive the shift. So how does inflation really work? It works the same way the tide works. You never notice it rising until your feet are already wet. Inflation is not price tags. It is pressure. It is imbalance. It is the system creating money faster than it creates value, and everyone adjusting to that imbalance in real time. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The financial world becomes less mysterious. Not kinder, not gentler, just logical. If tonight's breakdown made the system feel a little clearer, stick around. There's a lot more worth decoding. This is Empires of Finance, where money isn't magic. It is simply a mechanism. And the moment you understand the mechanism, everything else finally clicks.